Yo, we are back, we are back, we are back! And we had to start this session number 13. Session number 13 is started. Is starting in at 15:20. We will have to do till 16. That's it. 13, 14, 15, 16. Just 13, 14, 15, 16, 4 sessions. That's it. That is it. Just 4 sessions, then 2 sessions after coming back from exercise or whatever, meeting friend, anything. This is the beauty of rising early. You have so much ability to just. What the fuck? What the fuck? Now, okay, okay. All right. I. Okay. Um, bro, that was nice. I challenge this. I saw. Well, I know there is a gambit like that, but what happens if you? It's easy to basically defeat the gambit. Ah, shit. Oh, well, ah, I've walked too far. Ah, what the fuck? Nishan Buddha, you got wrecked, bro. Last game. Okay, so okay, this is all right. All right. Hi. Okay. That was so fast, bro. So the session 13 has started. Now, the important thing that we were doing, very, very important, was this. What? Now, I believe that I can do, I believe that I have the ability to explain going on, but just for the sake of being correct, let us have the notes ready. Listen in if I get stuck. So first let's practice just saying what we wanted to say with respect to ICA, and then we will go forward. Now, so the first act that would be that we would look into is ICA 1861. So first thing that we should look into is the official and non-official differentiation. The official and non-official differentiation would be like this: that in 1861, the official members were chosen by three guys. The sovereign, that is the parliament, then the secretary of state of Britain, and the governor general. Interestingly, whatever these two people chose became the members of the Exec Council with portfolio, which would mean that portfolio was also introduced in 1861. Then the non-officials were nominated. They were not elected, they were nominated, and by whom? The Governor General himself. The Governor General. They were nominated by the Governor General. They were nominated by the Governor General. So we look into the official and non-official. And obviously in both, now this also happened, this same thing, that the non-official were nominated by the Governor General. The official and non-official by Governor General is the same for the province. That means that these will not be there. That sovereign and secretary of state would not be choosing the provincial council, but the provincial council will be chosen by the governor of that province. Now, the second thing that would be needed with respect to understanding, it would be so there are five things like features and official non-official is very simple. Then the impact on on province and center and the relation, Indians, and budget and discussion. The budget, now they were allowed to ask questions to the executive, but the answers could not be discussed. The third, the impact, the Indians. Now this is here where this non-official makes more sense. These non-officials were divided into two parts. 50% of these non-official must be Indians. This is a must. Then we talk about, now we talked about the Indians. Now the Indians that were included in the 1861 nominations into the Central Legislative Assembly were this. So, oh, one thing that I forgot was that. Then how does it look? We will look into that further. Sir Dinkar Rao, then Raja of Banaras, and Sir Dinkar Rao, Maharaja and Maharaja Patiala. It is Maharaja of Patiala. What the hell? Maharaja of Patiala. I don't care. Hoga koi. There are two. This guy, I don't know. There was a Maharaja Patiala. Dinkar Rao. This is one Ratnagiri. Lived a long enough life of 73 years old. 77 years old. Anyways, 50% were to be Indian. Now the fourth that we need is the fourth thing that we wanted to talk about is always the impact on center and province. Obviously, there was in the center the impact was simple. There were non-officials the first time in the council, so it looked so for center, which was actually uh, 4 plus 1 plus 1 plus 6 2 x plus 1 plus y. This happened to the center. Or was that allowed? And for the province, the thing that happened was the province there were many provinces that were born. Obviously, Bengal, Madras, and Bombay had their own legislative councils, but now Central Province, United Province. Wait. The NWFP. Oh, all right. My bad. So the provinces which actually had a legislative council were Madras and Bombay. This is interesting. Bengal did not have a legislative council because the seat of power was in Bengal until 1911 Delhi Darbar. So Madras and Bombay had their own now, and they were reinstated. They were reinstated, which were which were out commissioned in the 1833 charter, when all of the legislative, financial, and military slash civil responsibilities were given to Governor General. Here I have this page. Were reinstated, and Bengal, North Western Frontier, NWFP, Bengal, and which one else was given? NWFP and Punjab were given a new legislative council, PLC. And then the fifth, the feature with which we have, apart from this official, non-official, this is one of the main features of this. The feature, if there was any. So we discussed the features of portfolio, official, non-official, and the ordinance power is one of the feature that it provided. All right. So this is there with respect to ICA 1861. So see, we covered every point, and now by the same method we will cover for ICA 1892. So first let's see the official, non-official system. Obviously official remained the same, it remained the same method, but the non-official members, to choose these members, there were multiple entities who were used to nominate these members. First was the Governor General, like previously. Now, it depended if these non-officials, so if the non-officials uh, were to be elected for the Central Legislative Council or the Provincial Legislative Council. If, for example, we use here the center, then the Provincial Council and the Bengal Chamber of Commerce. Whereas Bengal chairman. So official, non-official, the Bengali chair. Then if the non-official was for the province, then obviously it was to be the governor and then the local bodies. Well, the local bodies which were involved, number one was a district board, universities, the local chamber of commerce, zamindars, etc. So you can see these. So the local bodies and the governor. So official, non-official position is seen in such a way. Then we see about the budget. Now, budget and discussion. Now answers. Here I would also have to write allowed to ask question. X's answer could not be discussed. Budget could be discussed. Here, answer plus budget could be discussed, yes, and resolution could also be passed on the budget. That is, official status of the provincial council could be had. All right. First, in here the official is in majority. In provinces, non-officials were in majority. No, not now, not now, not now. This did not happen here. This happened in Molimdo. Answers plus budget discussion. Resolution on budget was passed. Then what about the Indians? Well, Indians had a type of indirect election. As you can see, there has been recommendations by the provincial legislative councils, Bengal Chamber of Commerce, District Board, universities, chambers and zamindars. These were Indians and they were doing indirect elections. But there was nothing that said that there must be an additional Indian 50%, the rate changes. That did not happen in 1891. So budget was the thing. This was the impact was that this x plus 1 plus y, this y increased for both, and as far as the relationship goes, still provincial, it is a unitary, still unitary. Here I should also write the relationship was unitary. And then we talk about the features. There were no features. Apart from these discussed, there were no features in 1892 as such. Same as this. Portfolio was there on this. Okay? Apart from this, nothing. Now we have your ICA 1909, popularly known as Morley-Minto reform. So in this we have, first thing is official, non-official. The methods of selecting official and non-official had remained the same, but now non-officials are more in number. That is, the majority has been established in provinces. In the provinces, but official majority was there in center. Second, again go and see what it is that we have problems understanding official, non-official, and the business with respect to that. Very simple. As compared to the last one, you can see that there is an increased tendency of, number one, inviting non-officials, and number two, making it more representative of India. Although it fails horribly in that manner, but it was still a softening which you can see, if which you can use to deduce different you can deduce the answer if there are multiple choice questions. These non-official, nominated, if you remember only this, that in 1861 this official and non-official business started, and in that original one the non-official was just selected by the governor general, and obviously this they were not in majority at all. Here also, there was no majority of any kind. Here, non-official were given majority in provincial councils. That happened. With respect to budget. Oh shit. Okay. There's something with respect to that here. Oh, this is the resolution here. No resolution of the budget. This is not here. This is not here. This is here. Budget could not be discussed here. Here, resolution on budgets could also be passed. When resolution on budget can be passed, official position of the House is noted. Indians. Now, uh, uh, first time in EXE Council. And it is Satendra Prasad Sinha. S.P. Sinha. The session 13th is done. Boys, just three more. 14, 15, and 16 we will be cruising. By 5:30 we will be done here. Then we can take a break, have some exercise, and come back. All right, a nap. Productivity nap. that sleep was awesome. Damn, that nap was awesome. Woo wee! And it took me only what 6-7 minutes. Awesome. All right. Oh, I gotta piss as well. Piss. Resolution on budget can be passed in Executive Council SP Senavas. There. Then, with respect to Indians, well, now for the impact on central okay, the size was there. The size, apart from size increase, there was no impact. The autonomy to the states was still not provided. And now the features, the long you have been waited for is obviously the separate electorate was provided. Separate electorate was provided. Separate electorate was provided. This is the feature of ICA 1909. See, with 5 again, these 5 we knew and we were able to effectively do this. These 5, on the basis of these 5, you can effectively learn this. All right. Now it will get interesting because as we have seen, the first indirect elections were in 1892, and now the interesting one is Government of India Act 1990. Now this has many features and many things that are there, right? So first of all, non-official, official now is not important. As I said earlier, only if the name is ICA, then only it is important. Otherwise, there are many other things that are important with respect to GUI. So we can say this was not important or an A. Now, second, uh, the second official, non-official. The second is uh, blanking, blanking, blanking. First is official, non-official. Second is budget discussion. Budget discussion is it here? Another discussion. Well, there was separation of central and provincial. So, and there was diarchy. Oh, right. The budget situation is that the provincial. Yes, this is what I was missing. The government of India 1999, it divided provincial budget and central budget were now different, now separate. This was there. Third, Indians. Obviously, now in the Exec Council, you gotta have three. At least three Indians. Fourth, the impact. Here, clearly there was number one, there was separation of legislative subjects in center and province, and second was diarchy. Apart from this, the province and center's budget now being separate, there was still unitary rule. And fifth, features. So first, the established bodies, a high commissioner whose office was in London. This is rote memorization. You can forget it. I mean, you might forget it because it is nothing but a post that just was created to take some workload out of Secretary of State. So it is just there. It is because it needs to be. No special reason is there. The logic needs to be special to be effective in memory. But High Commissioner being has no special logic, just that there was too much workload on Secretary of State of India. High Commissioner in London, then second, we are stating on the hierarchy part. Yeah, the building, the now Central Public Service Commission was formed. Apart from this, anything else? Oh, yes. And then the feature third was the base for Simon Commission was created. And fourth, there was then separate electorate for Christians, Sikhs, Anglo-Indians, these three, and Europeans. These four: Sikh, Christians, Sikh, Anglo-Indians, and this. Again, everything was covered in this. These five terms can cover everything. That is the power. That is the power of understanding. The power of understanding what our problem is very, very large. And now, obviously, (1935) for the most important. With respect to official majority, this is insignificant. Insignificant. What is important is now budget is already separated, so this is also not applicable. Third is about the Indians. Here there was what was called as a provision for what was known as India Federation. Now what is India Federation? India Federation is a federation, that is a group of states इंडियन फेडरेशन था क्या एग्जैक्टली? Oh yes, one thing that number one and number two franchise. Direct elections. I completely forgot. That is direct elections. India Federation was states, that is the princely states plus provinces. If the states came and 50% of India's population was there, then only it would be formed, otherwise it won't be formed. It was never formed. Indian Federation. Then Indian Federation was mostly it is known for bicameralism. Ah, yo, bicameralism. eh, and bicameralism. This is what I forgot. See, if I would have forgotten this, bicameralism. Bicameralism. Bicameralism at center level. The federation was there, which was never implemented, and then well, India Federation is a feature. It's more than a feature. But Indians could see. Okay. We have the franchise. Franchise increased to 10%. Fourth, there was bicameralism. First, there was provincial autonomy. Here the feature was fifth. First general election. First direct elections. In 1945 general election. These are the features. Provincial autonomy was provided. Bicameralism to many. Bicameralism at provincial level. Then There was schedule 7 type shit. Provincial autonomy bicameralism schedule 7 type, that is for provinces and the center there was different lists. All right, all right, all right. Yes, the understanding level is improved because now there is what is the impact. This is defined in a much better way. When we talk about this, we are talking about bicameralism. We are also talking about the impact legislative subject, legislative subjects. We are talking about autonomy level. Diarchy is also an impact. Size is the last one. Type. Then there is diarchy at channel level. But it did not operate. And now the fifth one is easy. There was a RBI, JPSC, UPSC, Provincial Public Services, and then Supreme Court, and separate electorate for women, uh, SC, depressed class, BCs, and labor. All right, we'll work this out. No. Let us say that the 14th session is done and the bank has a debt to pay of minus 5 minutes. Alright, because I have to have a complete flow. Alright, let's go. Just two matches, two matches. I was really slow. All right, let's go. So the problems of understanding with respect to the multiple laws which define the legislative system of centers and provinces during the Crown rule can be categorized into 5 topics, which will help us work out if we ever forget what was done in each of the council and the government of India acts. Basically, it would help us to arrange our memories in such a way with, with which it would be easy to recollect when asked, and it would be easy to see if there are particular options that are given to eliminate options, because some things might not be there, because there will be some rules and patterns that would appear if we arrange I'm sorry, if we arrange our data and our memory in a systematic manner. So the problems of our understanding is the official and non-official. When I talk about the differentiation between official and non-official, I'm basically saying that the official and non-official majority, uh, who are in the majority, who are the people who are nominating or electing or giving the recommendation for their nomination or appointment. Then budget and discussion would imply that there has been a passage of a resolution or a motion, which are two different things in this context with respect to one, which is resolution, which takes the opinion, the official opinion of the house on a particular matter, and motion is just comments. It is in fact it is a way of taking forward the discussion, taking forward the discussion or the business that has been conducted in the particular legislative or deliberative body. And budget is one of the most important portions of this particular business for a particular executive government. Now, Indians is a very vast concept in this, is a very vast topic. Basically, it would mean that if there were additions into certain uh, positions of Indians, or if they were given the franchise, or they were given direct elections or not. So not very vast, but there is certain explanation that is required to why there is this particular topic, because that has attached to it very low hanging fruits for preliminary to remember in which particular act it was allowed that Dinkar Rao, Maharaja Patiala, Raja of Banaras were given the positions in uh, the legislative council of center in non-official capacity, and in which act Satyendra Prasad Sinha was given was given the executive council entry. So those types of things are franchise, in which the 10% franchise was given, in which there was no franchise, and all of that stuff. Then impact on center and province. This is very important because this is where you can make mistakes. Center and province impact is further classified is if there was bicameralism or not. If there was bicameralism, at which level it was it in the provincial level, or was it in the central level, or if there was what was the division of legislative subjects within the province and center and between the center and province. Then the autonomy level with respect to how much autonomy does that particular province has. Then the diarchy means already, as has been explained, that double rule. It is basically of a particular level, internally, if the subjects are divided in such a way, then that particular subjects are being handled by an executive that is responsible to account to the legislators or the deliberators, and there in that particular level only there are other executives who are not responsible to their legislators. And size is simple, basically to expand the legislative council. Now the basic structure of any legislative council is like this. From now onwards it will look like this, and it is a common way of representing in the world of UPSC. There is nothing groundbreaking here. Multiple coaching institutes and coaching websites would show, and it is a very convenient way to show. But one must know and remember. There's nothing to remember as well, but it is interesting nonetheless. So this box is either the Imperial Legislative Council, or this box is the Provincial Legislative Council. Basically, this is the deliberative body which is formed of this circle which represents the GG in council, vice versa executive council, whatever you want to call it. It is the cabinet in today's terms, and this Y represents the members of parliament of today. That is, these are the deliberators, right? In the Charter Act, these were in the last Charter Act 1853. These Y were 6, and 4 of them were from the 4 provinces, Bengal, from the four provinces, NWFP, Bengal, Bombay, Madras. Now, after this, and then there were 2 ICS. So this was there, and then it keeps on increasing, and then there will be bicameralism, which will distort, which will make it not valid anymore. But it is a good starting point, especially for Charter Acts. It is good to know. This box actually forms in 1853 only, where Imperial Legislative Council is in session basically. Now we will work out each and every act. So first we will work out what is known as Indian Council Act 1861. So going by this list, first we have to see the official and non-official situation. The official non-official situation here is that the official members, that is the employees of the crown that would be governing India, or that will be governing the Raj per se, are provided by 3 entities. Number 1 will be the secretary. Number 1 will be the sovereign. Let us go in the direction of power. Then it will be the secretary. Sovereign means crown, whosoever has been delegated that responsibility. Then Secretary of State of Britain. And the Governor General. These 3 used. Interestingly, these 2, that is the sovereign and the secretary, which later on becomes the crown. So you can in your mind assume that that only 2 entities select the official members of the basically of the legislative council, of this box, of this rectangle, and that is the crown and GG. But it is better to show it this way. These 2, whatever members these 2 selected, would go first of all in the executive council, that is the cabinet, and they would be given the portfolio. Which means portfolio is also here. So I told you, yeah, features is I forgot about the feature part. If you are wondering, Yes, the features are basically you have the established bodies like the Federal Public Service Commission, the Joint Public Service Commission, the Provincial Public Service Commission, RBI, Supreme Court, High Commissioner, these kind of things. Diarchy goes in both 4 and 5. It is more of 4, but it is easy to see in this diarchy and bicameralism. It is a feature as well, but if we discuss it here, then it's fine. Anyways, and there can be multiple other features. This like separate electorate also may come here. Now back to this. And then non-official, which I will designate by NO, and further official will be given by O. This NO was selected by one entity only, and that was the Governor General. But the rule was such that this NO must have at least 50% of its members as Indians, which forms our third point. That is, this NO is 50% Indian. I jumped the gun a little bit, but please bear with me. This is the part of the third. Now, so this is there, but remember, each and every member of this box is in 1861 being nominated. So in 1861 there is no shred of elections and representation. Now the second portion, that is the budget. There was no discussion on budget, and till now budget could not be discussed. Budget could not be criticized. So this is there. Then third, the impact. What was the impact? The impact was, first of all, the official and non-official differentiation began, and officials were in majority in both the center and the provinces. Secondly, the system was still unitary. Unbridled control was executed by center on provinces. So the system was unitary, and official majority was there with respect to vis-a-vis non-official members of that box of the legislative council, whatever you want to call it. Now for both the center and the province. Sorry, this was the impact. And now the features. When you talk about the features, of this with respect to the in Council 1861 Act, the people who were in this 50% India were, so I would write 50% Indians, so Dinkar Rao first, he was an Indian statesman. Dinkar Rao Maharaja, writing shorthand, Maharaja of Patiala and Raja of Banaras. So Raja of Banaras, Maharaja of Patiala, and Dinkar Rao, these were the members who were nominated by the Governor General to be the part of this Indian Council, the Legislative Council. Now, interestingly, Madan Mohan Malviya had said that these non-officials should not have been there, because it is way too cruel to show a shred of sympathy, but at the end of the day do nothing. Show hope to show hope to a dying person, imagine a person who is dying of thirst and hunger, and you show that maybe you are going to give that particular person some kind of food or water. But at the end, when you are going to give it, you actually accidentally drop it, which will be so much more crueler than actually saying that we would not provide any food or water to you. In that sense, Madan Mohan Malviya said, because there were interesting stories with regards to these Rajas and Maharajas that were installed in these legislative councils to create a facade of representation, because these people did not understand a shred or a word of English, most of them, and when they were voting, they would use to copy what the viceroy were doing. So basically, if viceroy votes in favor of particular motion, they would vote in favor of that particular motion. Or if the viceroy does not vote in favor of that particular motion, is in the nay, in the no, they will do the same, which was very sad, very sad affairs. So that is what the remarks about non-official by some Indian national leaders were. Now moving forward, we have ICA 1892, similarly working out first the official and non-official system. The official system remains the same: sovereign and the Secretary of State and Governor General select these people, and the portfolio is filled by the people that were selected by the sovereign and the Secretary of State. Now the non-official members were selected by multiple entities. Number one obviously is the Governor General, like before. Second, it now varied with about which legislative council we are talking about. If we are talking about the center, let me write C to represent that if central legislative council is the subject of our study, then the non-official members of that would be given by, or would be recommended by, at the very least, the provincial councils, provincial legislative councils. And the third was the Bengal Chamber of Commerce. Chamber of Commerce. And if it was the non-official members of the provincial council, let me show it by CP, then obviously governor and the local bodies. Who would be the local bodies? They would be the district authorities, the district body, the district board, university, the local chamber, like Bengal Chamber of Commerce. There would be other zamindars. So all in all, the local bodies which represented special interests also recommended non-official members in the legislative councils of provinces. So these people were there. Now, second is the budget discussion. Here, the budget was allowed to be discussed, because budget discussion implies that budget is open to criticism. And since budget they allowed to have a discussion on budget, then normal discussion is automatically subsumed under this. So budget was allowed and discussion was there. All right. 3. What was the situation of Indians with respect to Indian Council Act 1892? Surely they increased the number of non-official members as they did it here, and still the portfolio is there. Oh, I forgot. Damn. Uh, impact. Um, oh shit. Oh damn. Oh, the recording is 20 minutes long. What the fuck? Yippee. One thing that I forgot here is that one of the impacts which I remember was okay. So autonomy level. I did not consider the autonomy level. See, in the 1833 Charter Act, the Madras and Bombay legislative councils were decommissioned in a sense of decommissioning. Basically, they all of the legislative powers were given to the Governor General and his council. But 1861 Act reinstated them, plus installed new ones in Bengal. Remember, Bengal did not have a provincial legislative council because obviously GG in council was acted from there. NWFP and Punjab were given provinces. I forgot about these because I was going to talk about autonomy here. The autonomy level remains unitary, and no more new legislatures were formed. The legislative subjects were also not distributed. The legislative system were not distributed. Wait a minute. uh, फैक्ट की बात करने लग गया यार, मैं क्या कर रहा हूँ ब्रो? ओह शिट, हाँ पहले थर्ड इंडियंस के बारे में बात करेंगे. थर्ड इज इंडियन, and then there is impact bro, then there is impact. Yeah, impact के नाम पे कुछ भी नहीं. All right. This is now now when we talk about the Indians, when we are going to talk about the Indians, so Indians were provided first glimpse of election. These elections were indirect. Now, the election word was never used in any of these acts up till now, but as you can see, there has been some sort of recommendations on the basis of which some members of legislative council are going into these legislative councils, or basically MLCs are being selected by by the recommendation of some people. It is very limited, very partisanry, and it is very indirect, but still these non-officials are not selected by the government but the people that are being governed, which in a sense is very similar to an indirect election, especially when provincial council members are giving their recommendations. All right, so indirect elections, and these were the first ones. Nothing like this happened before. Fourth, the impact. The impact was the size increased, which is of nah, it is not that interesting, because will they the people tend to be more focused on the number side of the things, but the number side of things is not that important, because you would know, yeah, there was 6, then there were 10, 16, and then it kept on growing. Other things are much more important because they form the basics, those form the fundamentals. Now, the fifth portion with respect to features, the features were obviously the portfolio and this 50%. What in 1861 was there? So, yeah, same as before, we will write nil here. There were no special features. Now, after Indian Council Act, we have the Indian Council Act of 1909, which is popularly known as the Molimento Reform. But still, since it is Indian Council Act, so now the pattern is, if the name is Indian Council Act, official and non-official and their relationship and their consequences are important for that particular act. But if it is not, if it is Government of India, it is not. It is just a pattern that helps us remember. So the non-official, official is for these. Now, the thing that is that officials and non-officials, the method of selection is the same, but what changed is that official majority is not there at the provincial level. It is there in the central level. Central level is there, provincial level, non-official majority wins. It has majority basically, non-official. That is the correct way of saying it. Now, second, with respect to budget, the change is that now the budget can have its own resolution by the members. So the resolution gives the official opinion of the house on the particular budget, which can create multiple, which in ideal situation would help at least creating an image of poor handling of the tax revenue in the mind of the British people, which would maybe help in getting those kind of governments elected which are more benevolent to the colonies. A very, very weak thing, but it is there, which could have acted as carrot in the year 1909. Nowhere will it work after this. So there was a resolution that was that could be passed now. That about the budget. Now the Indians, this is for the first time that in the Viceroy's Exi Council, one Indian has to be there. And who is that guy? Satyendra Prasad Sinha. Wait a moment, I gotta shit. And also, session 15 is done.